We have a good crowd, obviously, enthusiastic, wanting to find out more about our candidates, and we're happy to welcome them also. As I should repeat, in case somebody wasn't paying attention, where the washrooms are there, you go west, and then you go down the stairs on the left, go to the ladies, and on the right to the men. I will find it. I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Bob Lang. I'm the president of the Bungalow-Mission Community Association, and I'm going to ask our Vice President Rob Jobs to read the land acknowledgement.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out. Hopefully I don't mess any of this up. Cliff Bungalow-Mission Community Association acknowledges the Monkinstis and the traditional Treaty 7 territory and oral practices of the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprised of the Siksika, the Kainai, the Piikani, the First Nations, the Tsuut'ina, sorry, I think I missed something there, the Tsuut'ina First Nations, the Stoney Nakoda, including the Chiniki and the Bearspaw and the Goodstoney First Nations. We acknowledge this territory is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta Districts 5 and 6 within the historical Northwest Métis homeland. We have respect for and deep gratitude to Indigenous peoples whose traditional territories we are honored to operate within.
Thank you. We have a legitimate reason for doing this because this used to be a campground for the Aboriginal people in the early days. If you, after you could go down the hall, there's a map that indicates it was a campground where they would stay. So we have close roots with the Aboriginal people. Now, I would like to introduce our moderator, who is Greg Hart. He's standing right over here. He has quite a resume, and I've known Greg for a long time, and he's done these forums many times, and not just here. Anyway, he's a lifetime entrepreneur and strategic designer who has recently co-founded Thin Air Labs and Future Fit Cities to support innovation and support regenerative urban development. He's also a co-founder of Inception U, which is an alternative school that focuses on developing meta skills like critical thinking and collaboration. He's adjunct faculty with the University of Calgary, where he co-leads the Doctor of Design program and is the guest lecturer at Breda University of Applied Sciences in Netherlands. And actually, that's one of the reasons I do know him, because at one time we were both part of an organization called Saber Calgary, and we connected with Breda through that work. When it comes to policies, he is fiercely non-partisan about everything except for seeing the highest quality decision-making possible in government. He has been moderating forums like this one in Calgary and Vancouver for more than 15 years, and we've had him at least that long. He's a long-time lacrosse official, currently heads up box lacrosse officiating for World Lacrosse. We want to thank Greg ahead of time, because you'll find him a really different kind of moderator. He's going to make you work.
Yep, absolutely. Can everybody hear okay?
Yeah.
Hey, great. Thanks, Bob and Rob, and thank you all for coming tonight. And thanks to the candidates for coming tonight. And thanks for, as John Ralston Saul said, ruining your life and going into public up this. Just so if you didn't know that already, now you know that's what you're doing. So just a couple of things before we get going. One is there will be cards and pencils that will be kind of passing around. So we're going to kind of do this in a couple of sections tonight. I've got the stuff that Bob was referring to, or I'm going to kind of try to make them work a little bit, maybe even sweat a tiny bit. And then, but we'd be interested in collecting some stuff from the crowd as well. So if there's stuff that we haven't covered or whatever, then, there'll be an opportunity for you to write down on a card and we'll collect them up and I'll see what I can do with them later. So, as Bob referred to, this is a little bit of a different approach. So, in this approach, we're focused on dialogue, which means that during this time, you can talk to each other and you can talk to me and whatever. So if somebody's handling a question, it's no problem to have a conversation with one of the other candidates about that, because this is a dialogue-based approach. The other thing you'll notice is we're not going to be super focused on issues, because issues come and go, but these people, whoever is the successful candidate, will be making decisions for you on all sorts of issues that we might not even talk about tonight. So what seems to be really interesting is to know how they think, how they make decisions, what the principles are that they operate by. So a lot of the stuff tonight is going to be focused on that. So we're going to do a couple of rounds of questions, as I said, some that are going to come from you, some that are coming from me. And then, because all good evenings end with a lightning round, we will have a lightning round, which is really great because they can only give one-word answers or yes, no responses, which is always super fun for people who want to be in politics. And there's something that you should know as the participants here tonight too. I saw these signs on the wall in a school gym in this ward that gave instructions to the students, and I think they apply to you as well, which are focus, sit still, don't fidget, and most importantly, only ask smart questions. Can't see why there's any problem with education. So anyway, yes, I trust that you love smart questions. And when it comes to answers, there's a great quote by Stanislaw Lem, the Polish science fiction writer, who says there are no answers, there's just choices. So that's what we'll be looking at tonight, are the choices that the candidates bring forward. And so candidates, I would ask you, keep your answers to the point as much as you can. I'm not like a time limit guy. I would prefer not to do that. But if I think that it's going a little bit too long, then I will say something. But otherwise, if we just keep it flowing, I think it should be good. All right. So I think we're ready to go. So the first part of this is the candidates are going to do an intro. It's going to be short. It's going to be about 90 seconds long. And they're going to do three things in this intro. They're going to tell you who they are, their name. They're going to give you something about their background or a special quality that they think that they're bringing to this job. And then the last thing is they're going to tell you why, what their motivation is for seeking office.
Yes.
There we go. So we'll just go closest to furthest away. I will time you for this one.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the invitation to all the committee that is organizing this forum. My name is Miguel Cortines. I'm a believer in Calgary. I have been traveling to Toronto, for example, and before I made my decision to run for office, and I just talking to people in Toronto saying, "Oh, I live in Calgary. I believe Calgary is a very vibrant place," and people in Toronto is like, "Really? Why?" So I have to explain why, because Calgary has a great energy sector. We are amazing right now diversifying our economy, for example, with everything that is happening with Platform Calgary, for example. So I have been here around 24 years in Calgary. I have made different connections with community, with businesses, big corporations, small and medium-sized companies. I have made great relations with government officials from the federal, the provincial, and the local government as well. And I'm running because I think we are in a great momentum in Calgary. We have been growing in the last 24 years, and right now the expectations that we are growing are amazing. So I'm ready to serve you and having more conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. Sorry. I'm Josie Kirkpatrick. I'm a born and raised Calgarian. I'm a teacher and a real estate agent, and I've lived in over 4 wards in 4 communities of Ward 8. I've lived in Martelou, Elbow Park, Alboya, Park Hill, Stanley Park. I've taught in 5 communities of Ward 8. I've taught in Ross Carrick, Killarney, Elbow Park, Alboya, and last year I taught in Mission at St. Monica. And I think that I don't like the way the city said that blanket rezoning has anything to do with affordability. I think affordability is low-income housing that is strategically placed to create community and that has government subsidies. And I also think that our education and our healthcare is a complete disaster. And I know that's provincial, but I think you need somebody with firsthand experience like me at the municipal level to make any kind of changes at the provincial level. And so I'm here to represent Ward 8 because I have a very good perspective of teaching the kids down in Mission, who a lot of immigrants, a lot of refugees, a lot of multi-generational Calgarians who live in the homeless shelters. And then I grew up in Elbow Park. I've served on the board of directors at the Glencoe. And I think that there's a lot of diversity and you need somebody that has a very good perspective across the board. Thank you. Here you go, Nathaniel.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. It's great to hear, and I'm Nathaniel Schmidt. It's great to see so many folks out to come and watch this type of thing. Local politics is something that often gets ignored. To me, it is the most important area of government, which is why I've decided to put my name forward for this. I've got a 2.5-year-old. I've lived in Calgary since 2008. I'm a legal aid defense lawyer, which means that I work with mostly marginalized communities. So you have to make less than 30 grand a year or be under 18 to qualify for my services. Before that, I was a musician. So that was a sharp left turn in my life. But the common thread is that I have always focused my time here in Calgary since 2008 on giving back and being part of the community through giving my time to groups who often don't have a voice, which is what's really driven me to put my name forward for this role. That as a local politician, as your counselor, it needs to be focused on the needs of our ward and the needs of the people who live here. Ward 8 is one of the most diverse communities in Calgary. We have the Beltline, we have Elbow Park, Killarney, Ross Carrick. It's a whole different mix of communities. Through my time, volunteering for on the boards of Alberta Wilderness Association, Nature Calgary, Calgary River Valleys, running different arts groups as well, that has given me that ground level experience to experience different parts of the community and be part of the community myself. So thanks again for coming. I'll hand it off to Cornelia.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cornelia Weeb. I'm running to be your next Ward 8 City Councillor. I am a small business owner, and I've been a small business owner since I graduated university, but primarily here in Calgary since 2001 in this ward. I have lived in this ward. I've raised my family in this ward. These communities are home for me. I've spent the last few years since I ran in the last municipal election of 2021 serving in our communities on community association boards and specifically on the 17th Avenue BIA Board of Directors. That's given me a really unique perspective to understand both community needs and how we work with the city and how our small business community is also served between community and our city council. I will say that I decided to run for city council again because like many of you, I am frustrated. I'm frustrated with feeling that my voice does not matter to our city council. And specifically here in Ward 8, we have had a lot of concerns that have been unaddressed or simply ignored. So I'm here to tell you that I will stand up for you. I'm listening to you. I will be accountable to you. Thank you. I look forward to today.
My name is Kent Hare, and I want to start by thanking each and every one of you for coming out here tonight, for caring about this community and the future of this great city. It truly means a great deal to be before you and to share my thoughts and hopes for this community going forward. I was actually born in the Holy Cross Hospital, a hop, skip, and jumping away. I lived downtown with my wife for 14 years, Deanna. And the reason why I'm running is that I enjoy working on complex problems that are people focused. And with Calgary at a crossroads, with us becoming a big city with many numerous issues, I bring an independence, an accessibility, and a experience that I think can serve this community well. Experience, I've represented this community as a member of parliament, as an MLA, and leveraging that experience will be important to the future direction of our city. Too accessible. You will see Kent Hare in your coffee shops, your restaurants, your street corners in the morning serving coffee with his dad from 7 to 8:30 a.m. and sharing a conversation with you all along the way. Independent. We now have political parties at City Hall. Okay. I don't think that's right.
10 seconds.
My vote will depend on my conversations with you, my value system, and moving forward, not on what a chief of staff and the mayor give me as my talking points and how I'm going to vote. Thank you for being here.
All right, thank you to all the candidates for staying right on time. What an excellent start. So all of you talked about the interaction with citizens and representing people, being accountable to them. And so I want to share this quote from the famous advertising dude, David Ogilvy, because he had an interesting view on people. And he said, the problem with market research is that people don't think how they feel, they don't say what they think, and they don't do what they say. Now, I think we've all had experience that there may be some truth to this, or if you remember the program House on television, the advice he always gave to his residents was the patients always lie. So you're going to be in these situations where there's some tension between what people are telling you that they want you to do and what you might think is actually the best thing for the city going forward. Because if Ogilvy's even a little bit right, there's going to be times where that conflict occurs. So I'm kind of curious to get a little bit of a feel from each of you about how you deal with that tension. And we can start, well, this time we'll start with you again, Miguel, but we're going to shake it up after this. Sure.
Well, thank you for the question. I think we are living in Calgary many challenges and many opportunities. I have been in conversations with different people talking about the densification that is happening, safety, the connection between city councilor and the citizens of Calgary. But I think at the end of the day, to deal with any situation, we need to work in collaboration. We need to work, be very efficient in working together with people. Whoever is going to have the job and the 14 councillors and the new mayor that is going to run office. I strongly believe in the values of networking, start connecting with people, making good friendships. I have great relationships for more than 20 years working with people that is, you never know when you are going to connect with someone that is going to help you to achieve something. So working in collaboration is the best way to solve any issue that we have in our city. I don't believe that any of us alone is going to solve the problems that we have, but together we can achieve great things.
Okay. So I think with me, with regards to the quote that you said, I think with me, what you get is what you see. I think that I represent integrity, honesty, transparency, accountability. And I think with my experience teaching all grades, I've even taught adults. I care about people and I care about their needs. I recognize that everybody has different needs. I recognize that this ward has just the vast differences in all the different areas that require attention is huge. And I think it's very complicated. I think, again, I don't like how our current city council has said that blanket rezoning has anything to do with affordability. I don't think that's true. I think that our taxes are going to increase dramatically. with the infrastructure upgrades that are going to be required for the large amount of development that's going to be happening, that's already happening.
Can I just interrupt?
Sure.
Because back to the question of if you're in conflict with your constituents, how
Yeah.
are you gonna deal with that? How are you going to be able to do something that you think is best for the city? And your constituents are telling you, no, we really want this thing to happen. How will you manage that conflict with your constituents?
Okay, thank you for clarifying. I think that, well, again, my teaching expertise, which is to mediate and problem solve. I think that I have to listen to the voices of the people that I represent. Again, the reason why I'm not aligning myself with any party is because my responsibility is to the residents of the ward that I represent. And therefore, I would not associate myself with one particular group of people. So I would address the challenges like I do anything else. I'd be analytical, I'd be strategic, I'd negotiate with people, I would find common ground, and I would do my best to bring the two parties together. Is that good?
Okay,
Thank you.
so it's good, Nathaniel.
Thanks a lot. So I guess I should say I'm also an independent candidate running. But otherwise, everything begins with a conversation. So step one, we're never going to agree on everything. That's impossible. This is a big city, a lot of different needs in Ward 8, but it needs to begin with that dialogue. If something really matters to you and you're presenting it in a way that is respectful, that is educated, and that you've shown you've done your work and you want to speak with me about it, then it's incumbent on me. My first role as city councilor is to have that dialogue with the people I represent. The job I do right now is entirely based on conflict. The Crown has a different position than I do. The judge might not agree with me. And it's about having those tough conversations about putting forward your argument for why. A lot of times that results in a middle ground where everybody in the room is unhappy at the end of the day. But sometimes that is actually the best outcome because as a city, like I said at the beginning, in Ward 8, even more so than the entire city, we are all different. All the different parts, every different community has different needs. And it's incumbent upon me not only to listen to the voices who have the resources and the time to come and talk to me, but to remember those other ones who don't have a voice as well, so that we can grow forward together in a way that's respectful, constructive, and ultimately pushes us forward to the future, all as one community.
Thanks, Nathaniel. Cornelia.
Well, it sounds like this is a really good opportunity for me to talk about communities first and why I am the only candidate that is transparently and formally aligned with a team of candidates. I want to make it very clear that we are a team of candidates. This municipal election, while we are allowed to have municipal parties, these are grassroots teams. There is no formal party structure. There is no party mandate. We don't have a party whip. We are like-minded candidates that have come together under a party banner, a team of candidates called Communities First, who are doing exactly that. We are listening to community. We're putting your needs first right now so that when we are elected on October 20th, we understand the mandate that Calgarians are asking of a new council. Now to answer your question as to how would I manage to deal with issues of Ward 8, maybe demands of the Ward 8 residents that may be in conflict with what I believe may be the better decision for the greater Calgary. So the answer is simply this. I will always listen to Ward 8. As your councillor, I will always put your needs and values at the forefront of decision making. But there may be times where a decision I make may not align with what Ward 8 is asking for. And it is incumbent upon every councillor to be amenable to persuasion. And that is what I will always remain to do. I will be pragmatic. I will look at data. I will make the best evaluation that I possibly can. I really sincerely hope that it will always align. I know that it won't always. And I'm here to tell you that's also going to be okay. I'm going to tell you why I've made the decision that I have, and I will stand behind it. I do hope more often than not, though, we align. Thank you.
Thank you. Kent.
Well, having spent the better part of 16 years of an elected office, I know this feeling well. And the citizens of Ward 8 are very diverse. We have 3,000 people who are currently unhoused. And yet we have some of the wealthiest citizens in our city. I'm always reminded when people used to come in my office and say, you have to vote with what your constituents want. And I go, which constituents? Okay. Because different people have different hopes and dreams for a brighter future for themselves and their families. And each situation is different and each one is important. That's why a big pillar of mine is accessibility. I learned long ago in this business that I learned a lot more getting out and talking to people, hearing about their concerns, and coming back to my office and formulating then a consensus amongst what people want, what those hopes were, how we would build a community together. And a lot of times you need to assess things based on reason, logic, and common sense. And doing that research, that understanding of what only will not make a better Ward 8, but a better city. And making that decision, standing by it, and willing to pick up the phone and communicate to you the reason why you made that decision. And that is what you will get out of Kent Hare. Someone who will hustle, someone who will talk, someone who will make that phone call back to you and give you the reason why I made that decision. You will always get that from me, and I always put my best foot forward to represent you and get you the answers to why I made a decision and defend it.
All right, thanks, Kent. We'll stay with Kent for the next question, since it's time to start to reverse the flow at the table. So all of you have referred at some point to community. It's the idea of community, whether we're talking about the Ward 8 community, the city at large. And I think it's really interesting inside election campaigns or just in life in general, we use a lot of words and everybody just nods their head and goes, yeah, community, I've heard that word. I know what that means. But I'm kind of curious to know, what does it mean? So if we use a word like that and we're using the word a lot, how would you talk about community and like what it actually, it's a placeholder for something when we say that word. So I'm kind of curious from perspective of the different people at the table here tonight, starting with you, Ken, to see an idea of what community actually means. What are we saying when we use that word?
Community is the place where we share our lives, where we interact and engage with each other meaningfully and in relationship with each other. Community is how we choose to spend our time and how we try to build a better life for each and every one of us. You know, community means to me not just the roads and sewers and infrastructure. That's important. But community means third spaces, place for us to gather, place for us to take part in arts and culture, place for kids to go to the swimming pool, to have a baseball diamond, or another place for them to gather. That to me is community, and I want to be part of a city council that leans into community building, having a vibrant city. I want to be part of a city council that does more to make community a vibrant place for you to share your life with your neighbors and build a future together. Because at the end of the day, we are brothers and sisters keepers, and we all do better when we share our life meaningfully with each other.
All right, Cornelia, we're going back this way.
What does community mean to me? Well, to start, it's people. It's friends, it's neighbors, it's strangers meeting for the first time at the grocery store or walking your dog down the street. We are the people that build community. We have ideas, we have values, we have commitments, we have priorities that matter to each and every one of us, different from each other most times. But at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want a community that lifts up the people who live there. And I do really firmly believe in that. There's a reason why I spent my time volunteering, most recently, as I mentioned, with my community association. Community associations are really a valuable hub in our community building process. They're a place for folks to find help. They're a gathering space, recreation, community gardens. They're where people spend time getting to know each other. Those things are really matter to me. I believe that community is people first, place is second, and that's how I see community here in Calgary.
Thanks. Cornelia, Nathaniel?
Yes, so the most overused word in all of municipal politics. So why do we use that word so much? I think it's because of all the levels of government, municipal politics involves things that happens right outside our front door. So for all of us, when we think about what our city does, it's as we step outside, that's exactly what we're doing that affects all of you. But we're also affected by the community around us as well, which means that for those of us living, in this part of Ward 8, for example, the community is feeling struggles around things like public safety, around the infrastructure and the services that you have access to. People in the Beltline are feeling similar struggles. But then as we go further west towards Killarney, it's a whole different set of issues there. But some of them are also the same. And it's also the way that we connect with one another. So for me personally, I connected to Calgary through the music community and the arts community. Now I've connected through the legal community, the environmental community, and all of those different things come together to form our identity with ourselves and with the city. So when we think on a micro level, it's the different communities within a ward. When we get up a little bit higher, it's, hey, we're all of Ward 8. This is what we want. This is what we need. And then the city council together and Calgarians together, this is the vision that we want to present to the rest of the country and to the rest of the world as we try to grow into a city of 2 million people. Then what is the sense of the community that we're projecting to those who are outside of our community? And that is really the job of a city councilor. You build from the ground up to present this vision for who we are and what we want to be for everybody who lives here.
Thanks, Nathaniel. Oh, thanks. I was worried my chair was gonna fall.
The counterweight of the bag is gonna get.
Okay, I'll put it down in a minute. Okay, so community to me means inclusivity, diversity, but shared values. And doesn't mean everybody has to agree on everything, but everybody has to be respectful. I think it means forming partnerships with different organizations. I think it means supporting others. And I think just look around, this is community right here. Groups, lots of different people together sharing time. And I'm also a supporter of the arts. I'm also a musician and artist. And I think that creating collaborations and environments that are inclusive of all the different like environmental, like the other people here said, the other candidates, and different groups that support the values and the interests of other Calgarians. That's what community means to me. Yeah.
Well, I think community means people, putting people together for a common good, for a common goal. And I am a strong, I work a lot with artists, with creators, with entrepreneurs, with business people. So it's a business community, an artistic community, a creator community. But I always believe that first that we are creators, right? We create life, we create a business, we create amazing things and artists that create art or whatever, or people that create great companies here in this province. I believe also in the power of the connection, the connectivity. When you do networking, you are talking to people, making connections, be yourself, be authentic, be integral. And all these all collaborations and connections are going to take you to another way when you start to collaborate with someone. When you find a community and you start to create a project together, like this association, for example, or many other examples that of not-for-profit organization or business groups. When you start to collaborate, we start to grow because nobody can do anything alone. We need to work together. And when we work together in collaboration, we can achieve great things. And this is community. And in Calgary, we have a great community. I have here lived for 24 years. I feel very blessed for all the amazing things that are happening. And I think we need to keep the character of our communities here in Calgary. That's very important that we grow, but we grow keeping the character of the Calgary because we have an amazing city.
Okay, thank you. So I would just say that this definition of community that got shared up here tonight, something to keep in mind as we go into some of the other questions and just see how it connects to other answers. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to, I pulled kind of a question idea from each of your materials. And so what's going to happen is whoever's it is, I'm going to start with that candidate to give their answer because it's the thing they've put in their material. But then we'll give everybody else a chance to pipe in if they've got something to say. You don't have anything to say, you don't have to say anything. It's totally up to you. But I'm guessing most people are going to have things to say. So the first one I'm going to start with is actually Cornelia. There was something that you said on your website, which I thought was a really interesting sort of little catchphrase, which was talking about things that get funded by a city and sort of talking about things that are, vital to a city. And then you had this idea of nice to haves. And so I wonder if you might talk about how do we know the difference between something that's a nice to have and something that we absolutely have to have, especially in context of the conversation we just had about community. So I'll let you start, but we'll let other people chime in as well.
Thank you for the question. I will say this, as a small business owner, I'm always looking at my budget. The city is no different. It's just much larger than the small business budget that I work with every day. So in my small business, I'm always looking at what are need to have items. So those are the things that I have to pay for. That's how my business survives. That's how I'm also looking at the city's budget. What are the necessary things that we absolutely have to fund? Citizen safety, infrastructure investment, transit, things of that nature, water, Calgary police, fire, roads. Those are need to have items. They are absolutely essential to funding the core services that citizens rely on every day. Then there are the nice to have pieces. So those are the things that we look at when we already know that the budget has serviced the need to have items. So what are nice to have things? Nice to have things could be, for example, investing more in arts, which I also firmly support. Investing more into things that are pleasantries, things maybe discretionary spending items. For example, maybe it's sending a team of folks that work for the city to a special conference that really is important to them. But maybe in a certain budget cycle, we wouldn't necessarily be able to fund it. So need to haves versus nice to haves. That's how I look at a budget. That's how I plan to look at the city budget as well.
All right, thank you. Somebody else who wants to talk about this line between need to have and nice to have.
Sure. Okay. So this is a really great thing for us to think about, and I want to reframe it a little bit to think in the context of need to have, in the sense of need to have in our strategic goals as a city. So for me, a great symbol is the fire department. I've had an opportunity to meet with them several times. They are struggling in a big way right now to meet the standards for call times, to procure equipment, and to do the job that we all expect them to do and that they expect to do of themselves. So why is the fire department struggling? A lot of different reasons for that. Get into the nitty-gritty of that right now. But for me, when we talk about needs to have, those are the types of core services like fire, that if fire is struggling, that should be a sign to me as your city councilor that we are doing something wrong in the way that we are creating strategic goals for the city. Because if we are building in a way that's not working, if we're funding in a way that's not working, then that needs to be reassessed. Because if we don't have a fire department that works, if we have a fire department that is having members that are burning out, then that means that we need to change what we're doing. That will require tough decisions, but to me, a need to have is what can we not survive without, and what are the policy decisions we're making that are causing that issue to that core service.
All right, thank you. Anybody else want to address the idea of sometimes it's not clear what a need to have or a nice to have is, or maybe sometimes something that looks like a nice to have might head off a need to have down the road maybe, or something like that.
I think it's really hot in here. I was wondering if we could please open some windows.
That's the standard Cliff Bungalow election.
Okay, all right. So, I wanted to say that I'm also a business owner. I forgot to mention that earlier. I've had a small business in Ward 8 for over 20 years. I think that the need to haves are what's crucial to the success of our communities and our cities. And so, for example, and I know this is at the provincial level, but what I said before was you need people like me at the municipal level in order to make any kind of changes at the provincial level. And I'll say right now that the need to have is our education and our healthcare to get back on track. We need to close the free injection sites. We need to provide better healthcare for the mentally ill, for addictions. And I also don't think that we have a homelessness issue. I think we have an addiction issue. And I think if we properly support the addiction issue, it will flow over and we'll have better results with our appearance of a homelessness issue. I also think that need to have is, for example, the class sizes. So 3 years ago, I taught in Forest Lawn and Dover, and I had 50 elementary kids at a time with just myself. So one teacher, 50 grade 3 and 4s combined, and 50 5 and 6s combined. So I think we need to have smaller class sizes and cap the student sizes in the classroom. And also last year, like I said, I was at St. Monica. The playgrounds in the morning were full of needles, and I think we need safer communities, safer public transportation. And I honestly think that the city is really out of control and they're not doing a good job. And that is, again, one of the reasons why I'm running, because I think we need to clean up the city. And I also think need to have is fiscal responsibility. I think that our taxes are too high. I don't like that the developers are going to be capitalizing. And remember, I am in real estate too, and I'm opposed to blanket rezoning. I was on 2 working groups opposed to the blanket rezoning. I've been a community board member before in Park Hill, Stanley Park.
Sorry to interrupt. Just because we want to keep the answer short.
Okay.
You have an example of a nice to have?
Yes, nice to have would be nicely lit streets. Well, those I think are also needed, but nice to have would be like better decorated pieces of art around in the communities. I think anything that's aesthetically better and more appealing is nice to have. I think those are the bonuses and the pluses that are not necessary, but of course, enjoyable.
Hey, thank you. Miguel. Just a quick answer, and then we'll head it over to Ken.
Well, I think I have been working in the non-for-profit sector for many years and also in the business sector. I work in both. From the profit sector or the business sector, usually you think first in the money, right? How much profit I'm going to make, and you make your balance or your statement, and it's done. In the non-for-profit sector, and probably it's the same with the city of Calgary and municipalities, you first start thinking in the impact that you are going to have as a non-for-profit. It doesn't matter if you lose money or your balance is going to be in red numbers. It's okay if you create a great impact. And I think as priorities, I think the city of Calgary needs to focus in what is going to create more impact. It was to reference right now to the arts and culture sector. I work very closely with the arts and culture sector in CS Space. It's a vibrant sector that is creating a lot of opportunities, it's one of the most vulnerable sectors in our city. They have been diminished for many, many years, but I think it's a sector that needs attention because These people is creating mental health. All the pandemic, all the artists were here for us just to provide some kind of joy. And it's a sector that needs some attention. But
Thank you. So I just came back from Copenhagen for work, and a lot of things that I think that we would call nice to haves, they decided are need to haves. And I think it's kind of interesting to see that, well, the dichotomy sometimes. But go ahead, Ken.
You know what a nice to have is? A brand new saddle dome.
I was just gonna say, all the way through the schedule, nobody mentioned it.
$854 million for a billionaire owners for millionaire hockey players. And this was negotiated by Scotland Yard and the leader of the communities for ticket. And I didn't even like the deal that then she had struck at 600 million. That's a nice to have. Okay. And when Murray Edwards comes to ask for more money to do well, you will say, your last council gave, and we've given enough. You want to know what people need? How can you build a life if you don't have a home? We have 3,000 people currently experiencing homelessness in our community. The next city council has to do a job to look at all options for us to be able to have a home for our citizens. This will lead to safer streets. This will lead to better outcomes. This will lead to people being able to deal with their issues, build a life, find a job, try to build a sense of community. And I think we have to look at building out housing options in the Calgary, a co-op housing unit that we haven't done in 40 years. Okay? The private marketplace is not going to get this done. That's for city council. And we've looked at partnerships with the province or the feds, but if they're not there, these are our citizens. I think having a home is a need to have.
All right, thanks for that, Ken. And I'm gonna stick with you. Sorry to interfere. It's now that people are getting rambunctious. I don't want to take that energy out of the room. Feel free to be rambunctious, but so Ken, because I'm gonna go to something that's in your material, which is you talk about the layers of provincial bureaucracy and red tape that are holding up vital federal housing dollars, as an example. And actually, Josie, you also talked about school class sizes and things like so. Both of these issues are not actually within the jurisdiction of the municipal council, but they certainly have tremendous impact on the people who live in the municipality. I have two questions that I would like an answer to, quick answers, of course. The first one is how do we what's the role of the councillor in dealing with the things that you're talking about, these provincial issues? And the second thing is, what the hell is red tape? Because this is another one of these words that gets used a lot, and it's like I'm not exactly sure what red tape means. So I'd be curious, for each candidate, when you give your answer, just say, "Hey, this is what I think red tape is." That would be helpful.
And to be clear, a lot of city council's job is dealing with the provincial and federal government. I think part of what I offer to you as voters is an experience at both of those levels of government. I have good relationships with people in those governments, even though I often, at least in the provincial case, often disagree with some of the decisions that are currently being made. However, we do need to leverage those partnerships and do the best we can to do what's best for our citizens. And I think that always has to be advocated on in forceful ways. We have to win the debate with the citizens of Calgary. And if we win the debate with the citizens of Calgary, that puts pressure on a premier, that puts pressure on a federal government to deliver those resources and those things that our citizens need. But that's having a conversation with Calgary, that we're taking their voice to a premier, that we need
short-term
Sure.
Okay.
I don't mind talking about this. I mean, I think it's really important that your next city council has a really good working relationship with both the province and the federal government, regardless of what color of party sits in any of those levels. It is our responsibility to service Calgarians and put your needs and priorities first. I believe in that strongly. I believe that when we build relationships on trust, integrity, communication, openly and transparently, we get good results. So while Kent is not in favor of our arena deal, we absolutely needed a new event center. The Saddle Dome has extended its life cycle. It can no longer support the economic diversity and economic challenges in terms of tourism and other things that we need to have in our city. So we absolutely needed a new event center. And in fact, the first deal that we could think was better or worse, effectively was canceled because of the new city council and the antics that they put forward. So this council, and yes, mayoral candidate Sonia Sharp was instrumental in bringing the province back to the table on that one, because we need their support, we need their funding, we need their investment. So that actually took 6 months of communication and rebuilding trust just to get that conversation restarted. So that is really important. We lost time, we lost money, we have a different deal, but we have a deal, and I still think that's really important for this city.
Red tape.
I never use that term, but yes, I mean, red tape obviously is procedural and extended conditions that make it difficult through speed and processes. So we do need to reduce our processing time for things so that we can reduce red tape. Yes.
Cool. Okay, thank you.
So, you know, cities only exist because the province allows us to exist. We exist through something called the Municipal Government Act, which means that we are ultimately under the control of the people who sit in Edmonton. Now, as far as the relationship between myself as a councillor, the province and the federal government, I think that starts with not dwelling on decisions in the past that we may not have disagreed with. And it also depends on us coming in with a clean slate, showing that we clearly understand what cities can and can't do, and doing as much as we can as a city through me hearing the advocates in my own community, through seeing the needs that we have, and showing that we are doing our job to get things done, to justify funding from the province and the federal government, and a collaborative working relationship with them. When it comes to the issues that we're seeing around homelessness and addictions, there are some things that we can do as a city to solve, at least begin to solve those issues. And I think that we need to focus on that, not focus on the fact that this is a provincial issue, we can't do this, we can't do that. What can we do and what should we do? And by doing those things, then we build legitimacy with those other levels of government to buy in what our own citizens are agreeing with, what our own citizens want to see. And that's the way that we move forward. And that is the way that we find success through dealing with those other levels of government. Now, red tape, to me, I also really have never used that term. I think it's only one platform point that we have up now. However, to me, red tape is just disagreement on policy. Red tape is really like a regulation. It's something that is setting the rules. And sometimes when we complain about it, it is because we don't agree with the way we're making that decision. Usually it's in place to protect people, to provide benefits to people, because we saw a problem in the past. And using it as just sort of a general term to say, let's cut red tape. Well, often that means that you are going to lose benefits as a community, because those are the things that keep us safe, that they manage how things are controlled, and they manage our public health and our general well. So it's a term that I think we shouldn't use lightly, because it forms the basis of what has created such a great community here in the first place.
Thanks, Josie.
Like that.
Drive.
Yeah, that's like the splash and I would just talk loudly.
Sure, talk loudly while I change your batteries.
But I was, can you hear me way at the back?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for opening the windows and putting the fan on. So I would say that for, as a counselor, the relationships, can you repeat the first question?
The question is, the relationship, like, if you're concerned about class sizes, for instance. So how as a municipal councillor can you work with the provincial government to do something about that?
Okay, so, first of all, I think that you need to forge good relationships with the city administration. You also need to, like I said before, with the provincial government. So I wanted to also mention that, with regards to aligning yourself with a party, I know Cornelia, you said that you're just grassroots, kind of aligning yourself, but I know that, okay, thanks. I know that you were at a function with Danielle Smith the other day, and she introduced you as the UCP representative for Ward 8. Well, you stood up.
She did not.
Okay.
For the record, she introduced any candidate that was at this open tea for women to be introduced if they were running for office in this municipal election, not party affiliated, Ward 8 candidate, Cornelia Weed. That was the introduction.
Okay, well, you and Sonia were both introduced by Danielle Smith. So I just wanted to clarify that. So thank you for clarifying. And so my relationship, I have met Danielle Smith a couple of times. I've met Jyoti once or twice. I've met almost all of the mayoral candidates that are running this year. And I believe that my experience forging relationships, I would be best able to do that, regardless of who ends up being mayor. My first cousin is the mayor of Brampton. I've had MPs in the family, MPPs in the family. This is my first time running for politics. I'm not a career politician, but yeah, I think that I'm the best person to forge those relationships because I'm a people person. I like working with others, and I'm always good at building bridges to come to common ground with people. And as far as the red tape's concerned, so I was going to say a little joke that I think all I see lately is orange tape, and that's the construction going on in the city. But the red tape thing, I think that, well, for example, I have a retaining wall in my backyard that's been there for about 70 years, and I've just moved recently. And my mom has a fence that's been in her backyard for over 40 years, and the city has all of a sudden, 40 years later, 70 years later, sending out these notices where we're going to be fined up to $10,000 if we don't stay within our little box. And that's what I call the red tape, is this little outline of our boxes that the city wants us to stay within. And the people from the city, when they came to look at my retaining wall the other day, said that for the last 4 years, and I believe that's as long as Jyoti's been in power as our mayor, they don't do any encroachment agreements anymore. They've stopped doing that. And in other words, they've stopped working with the citizens of Calgary. They've stopped building bridges. They're literally building very expensive bridges, but I mean, they've stopped working with the people. And I think that that's what red tape means. It's like you stay in your little area. We're not going to do any negotiating. We're not going to be a team. This is where you should be. And I don't like that our current council is not working with the citizens.
Great, thank you. Hey, Miguel, how are you gonna get the provincial government to do what you want it to do?
Well, I see Calgary as a more prosperous, a more vibrant, a more cosmopolitan city for the future. So in 10 years, we are going to double population. We need more infrastructure in our city. We need to build housing for everyone, not just for some groups. We need to work with the Calgary firefighter department just to have more resources, to have more recreational centers in our city. We need to have the green line as well. We need to have more transportation options. But to achieve that, I don't think that we can do it alone. We need to work together with the provincial government, because obviously we require funding or we require something from them, and with the federal government as well. So I think collaboration is always the key. And if we want to achieve great things, we need to work together. And I think that's the. And also, I would like to see an independent council for the next council that is going to run, because we need to collaborate, but we need to be independent. We need to make our own mind. We need to work very hard for the citizens of Calgary. Always hard. And I really don't believe that having a group that is trying to be all majority in city council is going to achieve that. And regarding red tape, I think we have a great opportunity right now in Canada. Generally, I'm going to talk about Canada just to. I really don't understand why the provinces we have all these barriers to trade between each other. Right now, we should be trading with Quebec or Alberta with BC and everything, just to run our pipelines to BC, for example, because we need to work in collaboration. We cannot achieve things alone. So, and red tape, when you are putting barriers in trade, is just limiting our great things that we can do as Canadians, that we are. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, so I'm gonna stay with you. So I've got a few cards that people have brought up. If there's any more out there, maybe get them to Rob or somebody can bring them up. And while you're doing that, it's one of my favorite questions that I get to ask. And we'll start with you, Miguel, since you're closest to me. Tell us about something that you changed your mind about. Tell us about something that you changed your mind about, where you thought that something was one way and then you figured out, no, it's actually not that way. So if you've got an example of that, because the story is that people in politics don't change their mind, and I don't think these people want to go away from here believing that. So give us an example of when you changed your mind about something and why.
Well, I work very close. So I have been working for many years in different board of directors with different non-for-profit organizations, and always I believe in myself always. I think I was very young. I graduated with honors in my school. I did my MBA, and I have achieved different things in my life. And I sometimes, when you are talking with your boards, with people that knows more than you start to learn something, and you change your mind, because sometimes you are thinking that this is the right way to do it because you believe that you are very good in whatever you do. But the reality is that it's not. I think I'm going to come back to the collaboration part. So when you are talking together with people with brilliant minds around you, so you start to realize that probably your truths, nobody has the real truth, right? Because always we are looking at things in some perspective, but probably you are not looking in another perspective. So I always learning and always learning from others. And right now, just to finalize quickly, right now that I am having conversation with people, the power of talking to people, talking to you, go to your houses, knocking doors, and just listen the conversation. Wow, it provides you another perspective that you don't have in your mind. So open conversation is very good.
Okay. Yep. Josie, something that you changed your mind about and why you changed it.
Okay, so I will say that I'll give a couple of examples if that's okay.
One good one for sure.
Okay. So I think the free injection sites, like at first I thought that maybe it would be a good idea. I had no involvement in it, of course, as a citizen like everybody else. But I kind of thought, okay, well, here's an opportunity for crime to be reduced and for the police to go out and catch the drug dealers or the people who are facilitating all of the addiction that's ruining so many people's lives. And it's just totally spread. It's in almost every community that I happen to be in at any given time. I see people struggling with these issues. And of course, there's mental health issues that are associated as well. But yeah, I've changed my mind on that because I don't see that crime has been reduced at all. I don't see like a lot of arrests being made. I don't see the problem getting any better. I don't see an improvement. So I've changed my thoughts on that.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay.
Great example.
Thank you. And the only other thing I was going to say that I think is so important is I also don't like how the provincial government is trying to change the education system and privatize it more so than it already is.
Is this something that you changed your mind about?
Yes, because, well, let me get to the reason
Fast.
behind it.
Yeah,
Facts, yeah.
fast.
So, okay, sorry. I thought you said facts, not fast. Sorry.
Fast.
Okay, so I'm a single mom. My son had over 50 kids in his class at Western recently. And so I tried to get into private schools, and it's impossible to get into the private schools. They're so expensive. And so I changed my mind thinking that you can wait until high school to get your kids into private school. Now you need to do it at the elementary level because there's no room in the private schools at all now, and there's no room in the public either.
Daniel, something that you thought was one way and now you think it's another way.
Yes. So before I became sort of a nerd about city building and learning a lot more how we do these things, environmental protection was something really close to me. It has been for a very long time. So as I started to learn more about city building, before I held this view that, I was reluctant about seeing communities change to have, say, more density, for example, where we were starting to build up. And I saw that as something that was changing what I thought, would improve the environment within where we live because we have grass and we have some trees here and there. But then when I started to really understand the nature of the way we build our cities and how that relates to the environment, my view completely changed. Calgary is bigger than New York City or London. We take up more land than either of those places, and we barely have the population of a single borough of New York. And when I led an advocacy effort to prevent development in the River Valley in Ricardo Ranch in the southeast of the city. That was a direct result of the way that we've built this city over the last 30 years. That completely turned my mind around when it came to the relationship between a healthy environment, healthy ecosystems, and city building. Because the more land that we use to build out, the more healthy and relatively untouched ecosystems that we are affecting as a result of that. And that really led me to think very carefully about why we build the way that we're building now and why that needs to continue in a way that has some thoughtfulness around encouraging communities to have access to nature, but also preserving the agricultural and valuable ecological lands that still surround this city. And that, for me, is about the long-term future of not only us, but of my daughter and the ability of people to live in a healthy environment around them.
A reaction.
Go for it. Come back to the question again.
Well, the question is something that you thought was one way and then you figured out that it wasn't that way after all, but you changed your mind about it.
Yes. What have I changed my mind about? Well, I've changed my mind a lot over the years since I've been in high school and through university and things like that. I would say though, most recently, one of the reasons why I decided that I would run for city council is that I was of the opinion that our elected officials were always doing what was best for citizens. And I don't think that's necessarily true. In fact, I think oftentimes there are other issues and other reasons and justifications that elected officials make the decisions they have. And I don't believe that they're always in our best interests. So I have come to the conclusion in recent years that city elected officials generally are not paying attention to us and they're not serving our best interests. I would say when it comes to offering choice and other things like that through the city, when we want to talk about the environment, I also agree with those things. I used to be of the opinion that you give people opportunity to make their own decisions and everything will follow suit. And I do believe that our elected officials have an obligation to also represent, stand up, and discuss those things with us when it comes to environmental issues.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I so badly want to ask that if they're not acting in our best interest, I want to ask, like, whose best interest are they acting? But I'm not gonna ask that. I'm not gonna ask that. Ken, tell us about something that you figured out you were wrong about. Changed your mind.
Well, I really appreciate this question because I'm always reminded of the quote from John Maynard Keynes that when the facts change, I change my opinion. What do you do, sir? And I think that's what you always have to be amenable to when you're a public servant. You have to rely on experts, your conversation with constituents, and you have to move forward with evidence-based policy. But something that is a big issue in this campaign is community safety. Okay, we've had a rise in social disorder in our city, and it's one part visibility out of our police and peace officers, too, finding people places to live, the 3,000 people that are unhoused, and three, getting a plan together at City Hall and following through on it. But one thing that recently came up, and look here, I think the premier in her wisdom threw out a pretty good green line plan and has scuttled in for something that may not work as well. And other issues that I have around affordable housing funding. But here's one thing that I was initially skeptical of. She recently came out with a community care bill that essentially would mandate forced rehabilitation for some people. And I was very skeptical of this at the time. So I went and reviewed the bill, okay? And really it says there that if a police officer, a community worker, or a family member sees a person that harmed themselves or harmed the community, they can be placed in rehabilitation. And this has checks and balances in it. This has a board you have to go through. It's actually better than our mental health act and has a compassionate solution. So in order to come to that conclusion, I'm a lawyer at Goodfellow and Shewitt, but I called some of my legal friends, called some civil libertarians, called my friend Patrick Bailey, who has worked with the police here in Calgary and is a lawyer and a doctor here in town. I worked through this and it changed my opinion on it. And I applaud that, and I think it's one of the tools we can use to create safer communities.
Thanks, Ken. Okay, so now we're going to pass the mic to Nathaniel because it's one of his quotes that we're going to riff off of next. And I want to try, we're heading towards the lightning round. So
Keep it light.
we're not at the lightning round, but we're heading that way. So what we'd like to do is it's stormy, like shorter rolling thunder bursts kind of is what we're looking for here. Because there are a few issues that would be great to be able to squeeze in before we get to the lightning round. So the one that came from your website though, was you talked about the fair share for Ward 8. And so you're talking about an issue which is, what Bungalow worries about a lot, which is the balance between what's asked of the inner city versus, that sprawl that you were talking about before, the huge amount of space that's being taken up. And so I guess the question really is, you know, what does that balance look like between the older communities of Calgary and these newer communities that are going out there? It's a tough tension that exists on every council. So, yeah, give us a quick answer on that, and then we'll get a quick answer from everybody else. Thank you.
So very quickly, way back in 2008, we set a goal for 50-50 blended development. Greenfield, which is new communities and existing communities. At this point, what is that, 17 years later? Best estimates, 90% new, 10% existing communities is really the sum of that. So that means that for us to get our fair share in Ward 8, we need to change the way that we're building the city, because our budget is going into new infrastructure, new capital, new services out now 40 kilometers from our downtown. We have one publicly operated rec center left in this ward, which is Killarney. That's 100,000 people with one rec center. That is a symptom of the mistakes that we have been making over the previous decades, and those are the things that I want to begin to fix. It's not going to be easy, it's not going to be short, but it needs to begin now, because if it doesn't begin now, we're going to suffer even more in the inner city, and this area deserves all the support it can get, because we carry a lot of the burden when it comes to all of Calgary, and that begins with changing the way that we build this city.
Great. Whoever would like to go next? Grab the microphone.
I'll just go in the order. So I would say my whole platform is based on purposeful planning. And I think it's very important to be strategic about everything. And I just think the city has done such a poor job of being strategic about their planning and their development. And the blanket rezoning is a perfect example of that. And another thing I learned recently when I sponsored endorsed or pledged the soccer facility like you did, Miguel. The soccer dome has been in Calgary's Northwest for 20 to 25 years, and they still don't have a bus stop that goes anywhere close to it. And this is a youth facility. And, you know, it blows my mind that the planning is so poor. And I think that you just need to be more purposeful with the planning. You need to be strategic. And I think if people are more selfless and not, you know, trying to push forth their own agendas, like you kind of mentioned, then we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in. And you mentioned the Green Line, and I think our public transit is dangerous. I don't think that it's safe. I think you know, the council's trying to make this a walking city. I don't think we're ever going to be a walking city. We have minus 30-degree temperatures. I think if they want us to be like that, we're going to have to build a subway that's underground, and that would take like 30 years. And on a...
Wait a second, I ride my bike every day.
Okay, thank you for bringing up the bikes. Thank you for bringing up the bikes. I know, you and Lonnie Balking. Just kidding. But I think he started the bike tour today. But that's another example, the bike lanes. I know this is a bit of a contentious issue with a number of people, but I think they're very dangerous. And I think directional signage needs a lot of work. I don't think it's properly maintained.
We got to stay on the topic, which is...
I'm getting lost on the topic.
Yeah, the topic was the trade-off between suburban, if you want to call that, and older areas, and the burden on the older areas.
Okay.
So I'll give you like 20 seconds, and then we got to move on.
Okay, sure. I think we need to respect the fabric and the culture in the communities that exist now, and be respectful of the residents. And I just think blanket rezoning was very careless and reckless, and I think it's ruining the city.
Well, we have significant challenge in infrastructure in our city. We are seeing all the developments that are happening in Mardalub, in Altador, around here. A lot of construction. I have it in houses or in estates that you have a single, a double, fourplex, like 8, 16, and more. So, and this is creating significant challenge with parking, with the style of living. So I think we need to repeat the blanket zoning, of course. And we need to work together with city planners, with the developers, and with the citizens engaged as well, just to find the solutions that are going to provide us with keep the character of the communities, create housing because we need housing. I love the concepts like university district, for example. They're integrated. They have densification. They have beautiful areas for kids just to have some recreational activities. They have underground parking. They have street parking. They have a lot of retail stores around. And I think we need to start to find spaces when we can create find land that is going to be provided by the city of Calgary, just to provide working with good developers, just to find good neighbors and maintain the style of life.
So Ken, you're up. Miguel, can you transfer the microphone? Thank you, sir.
There is no doubt that the way the city has organized itself by expanding this city to be one of the largest footprints in North America, if not the world, has been detrimental to the inner city. Growth does not pay for growth. It comes at the expense of ratepayers, of inner city development, in community pools, in arts, in school closures. You see that all throughout the ward. And if we continue to build out on the outskirts of town, it will continue to diminish in that way. The way we get reinvestment is by continuing to develop our communities responsibly, but to densify it in smart ways, and ensure that we have a sense of community here by building more housing, more development, more ways for us to get our community infrastructure built. We used to have a Beltline pool. No longer. There's many examples of these all throughout the ward that we have to ensure we have vibrant places for us to share our lives with each other and build a sense of community.
All right, thanks, Ken. So one of the questions. Oh, sorry, sorry. I'm all confused because we're going out of order. Sorry.
I'll be brief about fair share and what I've heard while door knocking from residents throughout Ward 8. We don't mind paying our taxes, but we want to know that those tax dollars are being invested wisely throughout the city. Where we feel we are losing out is exactly the point that Nathaniel made, which is that we have seen a lot of urban sprawl. So folks in Ward 8 are saying, how do we get more money reinvested? And that's what I'm looking at. Fair share, it's a reinvestment. It is our tax dollars that we would like to see reinvested in our communities. Yes, Killarney Pool is our only aquatic recreation center that services the ward. My children took swimming lessons there. I personally have also taken fitness classes there. It's a fantastic facility, but it's simply not enough to support the density that the city has asked Ward 8 to take on. So when we're talking about reinvestment, it is park space, it is infrastructure, it is everything that we need to support the people that we're asking to live here. So that for me is what fair share is, a reinvestment in our communities.
Okay, thank you. I didn't miss anybody else, right? So sorry about that. I'm going to start with you this time because you're holding the microphone. And that is, this is a real quick one because this is something coming from the community. One of the issues that many cities are dealing with, and it's really an obvious issue in Ward 8 and certainly Cliff Bungalow, is noise. Right? And it's one of these things that's become sort of a creeping menace in a lot of cities. And you have cities like Barcelona who've actually set up quite stringent bylaws around noise, and they've worked hard to change the conditions to bring noise down in the city. So what I'm giving you is just the scenario is we have technology that allows us to know when people are producing pointless noise that is diminishing the total quality of life for everybody. So if we have this technology in place, the quick question for each of you is, as a counselor, are you going to be somebody who says, absolutely, let's use that technology and let's get noise out of our inner city? So Cornelia, you're the first one. This is almost a lightning round question.
It's very quick. My answer is very quick. Our current counselor did something right during this term, and I'll tell you what that is. He brought forward a noise bylaw. So we do actually, in fact, have a bylaw on the books that speaks directly to the level of volume and noise caused by motorcycles and other modified vehicles. It's an enforcement issue. The bylaws are there. We need to educate Calgarians. We need to educate folks in Ward 8 that there's a bylaw, and then we need to move into enforcement. And that's how we're going to reduce noise.
Told you, some people were concerned about this.
I hear from my wife every day, you're gonna do something about the motorcycle and the car noise, are you not? And I say, yes, I am. When we're enjoying our parks and our spaces and even trying to get to sleep at night, the motorcycle noise and car noise it's a disturbance to the peace and quiet neighborhood that we all want to enjoy. I think we should be using this technology, implementing it as quickly as possible. And we also need better enforcement. And in particular, I would even advocate, we got to start clamping down on those vehicles that are making the alterations, looking at increased fines, whatever we can do, because we want to make enjoyable neighborhoods. And when I'm having a coffee in Tompkins Park, I'm getting sick and tired of the motorcycles revving their engine and me spilling my coffee all over my nice white shirt. That's a personal pet peeve. I think we should be doing this as soon as we're able to do it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else who wants to chime in? I feel a trend emerging here, so.
Very brief. Noise is a public health issue. It raises stress levels, it affects sleep, and it is something that none of us should have to live with. There's no public benefit to it. Now, the problem, we do have small enforcement teams. This will put on my lawyer hat for a second. We have a difficult time enforcing it because it's not like photo radar. We need technology that can actually pinpoint the exact vehicle that made the noise, which is why we're having such a difficult time doing it right now. In the meantime, we need to do two things. First off, we need to increase the number of peace officers on the force that is doing that, and we actually need to do in-person blitzes in areas that we know are problems to start creating the culture of following those bylaws and make the fines so prohibitive that people stop doing it. The second point is we need to collaborate with other municipalities in the province to take a joint argument to the province who has the power to outlaw the sale of those devices in this province. If we did it as a city, that would not stop the issue because you can just go to Okotoks and buy them. We need a provincial-wide rule around the sale of aftermarket noisemakers like that to create actual long-term change and make all of our lives healthier and more enjoyable.
So I lived in Marteloup a while ago, and yeah, the motorcycles were so loud, and I agree with the traffic noise. It's very disturbing, and when I was door knocking recently, I've had people in Scarborough upset about the escarpment, the concerts that they have there. A gentleman said that he couldn't hear the TV because of the noise. I've had people in Marteloup say that there's night markets going on all the time, and there's new development, commercial developments that are happening right beside residential buildings. And I think, again, it just comes down to strategic planning. And I think that the city should be better about being respectful of the citizens. And I think if there's technology, it's always something to explore, as long as it's not impeding on people's privacy and their quality of life. And so even myself, the Stampede, I know those are 10 days where the noise is, especially in this community and the surrounding communities, they're hearing the music go till 2 and 3 in the morning. And I just know that it's a real problem for a lot of people. So if I'm elected, then I would take that up for sure.
Just to be clear, I think it's mostly like the vehicle stuff that people are most worried about.
Yeah, well, I'm hearing everything.
I'm sure you're hearing other
Yeah.
things, yes.
Definitely, we need to use technology just to improve the style of life of our communities and to have better regulations. And I'm not going to mention about the I received an email from one person that lives here in Bell area of 17th Avenue, and he complained a lot of the noise of the motorcycles. So that's an issue for sure. But I think we need to consider as well the use of technology for in another process in the city. For example, for development permits, I think we can improve the way that the city of Calgary provides a development permit using technology. And second, all the maintenance that we need in our water systems, we need to monitor what is happening. We have a very old infrastructure, and I'm sure the use of technology is going to help us to improve that area as well.
Great, thanks. Hold on to the microphone there, Miguel. So here's what's happening. We're going to the lightning round. Now, I've got questions people have brought up, and what I've done is I've tried to include some of them into the lightning round because some of them kind of qualify for a lightning round response where people don't get to add a bunch of words to what they feel about something. They have to sort of pick a position. They also have the option to pass, which I don't know how you'll look at that if somebody decides to pass on a question, but I'm giving them the option to pass. So basically what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go back and forth down the line on a pile of questions. So are you ready? Ready to go? The first one we're gonna talk about, the Chumir safe injection site. Is it staying open or is it getting closed? Pick one and pass the mic.
We need to find.
No, open or closed.
We need to close it.
Okay,
Close, not
Yep.
move.
okay,
Open.
Close,
Open.
all right, we're gonna start with Kent then on this one. Single biggest fundamental challenge the city is facing. So just like one word, what is that thing? Biggest thing concerns you?
Sprawl.
Okay,
Development,
Growth.
longevity,
Sorry, we said was.
single biggest issue that the city is facing, biggest challenge that it's facing.
Infrastructure in our city.
All right, here's a fun one. Candidates should make all campaign contributions transparent in real time. So not waiting until after the election's over, but actually just having a running tab of transparent.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay,
yes,
Yes.
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 so I guess shocked by those answers.
No.
Okay, it's gonna get harder now. I'm assuming then that means that we can go and see all of that information. Flames or Oilers? This is to test people will be in a public setting. Flames or Oilers, Ken?
Columbus Blue Jackets. My nephew Jackson got drafted 14th overall this year by them.
Blue Jacket. That answer was out of bounds, but it's pretty good. So I'll let it go.
Go Flames, go.
Okay.
Blue Jays.
Blaine,
Every time.
Flames, of course.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so you're going to a restaurant, you have the option to do a drive-through or to go in and get your food by walking into the restaurant. Are you driving through or walking in, Miguel?
you have to tell us what kind of restaurant.
One that has a drive-through. Which is most restaurants, but anyway, yeah.
I prefer walking, yes.
Okay,
Drive through, because of time.
Walk.
Walking in.
Unless it's Peters walking in.
okay, so the next one is, what's most important to you, cost or value?
Value.
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 It's tricky, depends.
No,
Pass.
It's either.
Thank you.
okay,
Value and impact.
okay. Next one's a yes, no question. Is a city a living system? Is it alive?
Yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
100%.
150%.
I just knew there'd be a way that you could take a yes, no, and it's turn it into something more than that. Okay, so now you have a choice. This actually comes from, this is something that Steve Jobs said a long time ago, but now you have a choice. You can either mitigate risk or you can run toward the future. Which do you prefer to do? Mitigate risk or run toward the future?
Run towards the future.
Run toward the future.
I'm gonna cheat for a sec. Our slogan is future focused, so run towards the future.
Okay, be a brand problem, yeah.
I think I like to mitigate risk.
Run for the future.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, now you're designing a city. You have choice. You can only design it for one of these things. It's either going to be designed for people or it's going to be designed for cars. Which one do you pick?
So to be designed for people.
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 Cars, just kidding.
So anyway, I think it's kind of interesting in light of the definitions of community and some of the answers, and you think about some of the issues, and everybody's on for people, so that's good. I think we can hold them to account on that. All right. Well, this is a nice, tasty one. There's a climate emergency in Alberta. Yes or no?
There's a climate emergency all around the world.
Okay.
Not an emergency.
It's everywhere.
I don't think there's an emergency in Alberta at this second.
Tough one.
It's an everyday obligation to keep the environment safe for everyone.
So there is an emergency or there isn't an emergency?
No, it's not. It's a everyday situation we need to take care of.
Okay, so we're getting close to the end here. This is the one that's come up a few times tonight, so we might as well just get it out of the way. Blanket zoning. Good, good or bad?
Bad for our city.
Okay,
Bad.
Good.
Bad.
Fix zoning so it works for people.
I thought we only allowed one answer.
that good or bad? Is
Fix
blanket
zoning.
rezoning doing that or not?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's get down to the importance of historical preservation, increasing efforts at historical preservation. Is that something that should be a priority or not?
Yes.
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 Can you please repeat the question?
Should we be increasing the effort to do historical preservation?
You're in Cliff
Yes.
Bungalow.
I think that increase.
Yes, definitely.
Well, so much for running for the future. Everybody wants to preserve the past. I knew I'd catch them somehow. That's how we do it. Okay, so that's the lightning round. Thank you very much. Great job on the lightning round. There were a couple of other great questions that I would love to ask that, and a couple that came from the crowd as well, but we're kind of over time. So there's always lots of things to talk about. So what we'll do is we'll get the candidates to wrap up. And so listen carefully to your instructions here, because these people will be judging you harshly based on your ability to nail these things. So the first thing that you're going to talk about, and you're only going to have a couple minutes, but the first thing that you're going to talk about is just a reflection on this evening and on your fellow candidates. So you need to make mention something about your fellow candidates. The second thing is 4 years from now, you've been elected. And so 4 years from now, what's the really impressive, important thing that you helped get accomplished? So it doesn't have to be a big, long thing, but just let us know what it is. And then the last thing is the most important thing that you want people to think about when they're making the decision to vote. So 3 things: reflection on the evening and your fellow candidates. Second thing is 4 years from now, what's the astounding accomplishment that you've contributed to? And the last thing is, what's the most important thing these people need to think about when they go to mark their ballot later this month? Okay, so I think we'll start actually, yeah, we'll start the way we'll do this the way we started. So Miguel, you can go first. Okay.
Well, what I learned today about my fellow candidates here, everybody, we are sharing the probably similar values. We want a better city for all of us. Everybody, they are putting the great effort, different perspectives, of course, but I think at the end of the way, everybody, all of us, we are looking the best for Calgary. And I'm very glad, I'm very honored. I'm learning a lot about this. It's my first time running for a political position. I have been working for many years in community development since I was very young. What I would like to achieve in 4 years from now is just to put the basis for the. We're living a great momentum in Calgary. That's obvious. Many people is coming here to Calgary. All the cities that we already live here. We live in a great city, in a very vibrant city. So I'd like to see a more cosmopolitan city, most vibrant city, and just deal with all the issues that we discussed today, and just to be a more balanced growth in our city. And the final question.
What's the most important thing that these people need to be thinking about when they make their choice, when they vote?
Well, I'd like to invite you to learn about myself a little bit more, miguelcortines.ca. I have been a community builder all my life. I have worked very honestly in working in community, a lot of community projects from the business side, from the non-for-profit sector, working with creators, with entrepreneurs, with artists, with business people from large corporations like TC Energy or small and medium-sized companies in different sectors, in the oil and gas sector, in the technological sector as well. I have created a lot of relationships with government officials in the federal, in the provincial, in the local government, with Calgary Arts Development, with Calgary Economic Development, with many organizations, with different non-for-profit groups as well.
10 seconds.
And yeah, just learn about myself, and I'm sure I have all the professional capacity and the leadership just to be part of the city council that is going to run our city in a few years.
Thanks, Miguel. Josie.
Okay, so I was under the impression that the majority of the people in Ward 8, this is my reflection portion, wanted to see the injection site closed down. And a number of people said that just because it gets closed down doesn't mean it's just going to be moved. So I just want to know if I could get a show of hands of people, and you don't have to if you don't feel comfortable with it, but I wanted to get a better idea.
This is about you, your reflections, not their reflections.
Yeah, well, I know, but
I'm not gonna ask them to do that.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
gonna ask them to do
Okay, so my reflecting is that I realize there's a lot more people that are for it staying there than I realized. So that's something that I'll take away and just reflect on and see, what other kind of strategies we can come up with that work for everybody. And I think that
4 years.
what I learned about my other candidates, is that everybody seems highly educated in lots of different areas, and I think everybody has lots of diverse qualities to bring. I think that I'm the best able to represent the ward because of my firsthand experience, and I can have those firsthand conversations with the province because I've lived it, I've experienced it, I've taught, like I said, the kids that live in the homeless shelters whose parents are on the streets or in jail.
10 seconds.
And 4 years from now, is that the last one?
Yeah.
I just hope that Calgary is a better place. Oh, the one thing I wanted to leave you with is that think about this with the blanket rezoning. A regular 50 by 100 foot lot Currently, our infrastructure can sustain 2 to 4 toilets with the blanket rezoning and the city pushing through.
Well over time, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, everybody else got a little bit more time. I just wanted to say
They actually didn't.
that's 28 to 42 toilets per lot and 21 extra cars per lot on the street. Thank you.
Right, well, first off, my reflection on my opponents, I think it's important that we all think about how much courage and dedication and time it takes for everybody here to be putting their name forward as candidate. This is something that is extremely important. Whether or not we agree on all the issues, the most important thing is that we have people who are willing to put their name forward to do this, and that all of you are here tonight as well to listen to us. So that's my primary reflection from tonight. Over the next 4 years, the accomplishment I would like to see, it's sort of a symbol of everything I want to see. It's the Westbrook C train station. That land has been vacant since it was built. We, as a city, received that back from the developer last year. We received $7 million because of the nature of the contract. To me, that is a key city building project that not only creates a better public space for everybody. I'd like to see some community gardens, some parks, some development go around there for housing. It can be a mix of market and non-market housing, and it should be, because that is the best approach to solving the issues we see downtown. Is housing first, and we need to build that housing around services within the communities where we already live to give those folks in that situation a chance to succeed. But then it becomes a community gathering space as well. It's not segregated. We're not segregated from each other. We have this symbol for how to do development around transit.
20 seconds.
And then finally, what I would like you all to think about is who made you the most bored tonight? Because really, somebody presenting policy and actionable things that we can do should make you all bored on the city level, because it's getting done, right? So think about the most boring person up here when you vote.
Okay, so you're giving out awards for most unexpected close. That's, but I mean, there's 2 to go, so let's see what happens. Cornelia.
Well, I will thank you all for giving me the opportunity to stand with the other candidates in this ward in this election. It is always important that we get out to vote, and I thank you all for taking your time to listen to us and really ask some tough questions tonight. My reflection of the other candidates is that we all are coming at issues at a different way, but we all care deeply about community, and I really appreciate each and every one of them here tonight. I would say, in the next 4 years, what I would like to see accomplished is a restoration of safety to citizens. That is a crisis that I think our entire city has been talking about as priority number 2 that I've seen and heard at the doors. I will let you know that just today, the Calgary Police Association has endorsed the Communities First strategy to deliver support for the city when it comes to crime reduction through funding of our police, which is extremely important. And I take that endorsement quite honorably. I will hope at the end of tonight, you've got a lot to take away and you will understand where we all sit on the priority issues that are important to you and that are important to me. So my name is Cornelia Wiebe. I am running to be your Ward 8 City Councillor, and I do hope that you'll consider me in casting your vote on October 20th.
Thank you, Cornelia. Kent.
First off, I want to thank each and every one of the candidates up here tonight for putting their name forward. Public service is important. And the cheers are louder than they should be sometimes. The jeers are also equally as loud. And putting your name forward, willing to make those tough decisions, willing to work hard for your constituents, shows up in spades, and I thank each and every one of you for that. When I think about what I'd like to accomplish in the next 4 years, it's I want to fix a zoning system, one that allows us to have densification where citizens can understand the different developments that are being made, and we have a process that is fair and allows for community input into what those decisions are made in their community. The second thing, I'd like to see public safety, and most importantly, us get a focus on getting housing. for the 3,000 citizens who are currently unhoused in our community. This will lead to a fairer Calgary, a more equitable Calgary, a safer Calgary, and with a real plan on development and some of those public housing options, I think we can do a bang up job. The third thing I'd like to see, great cities have great public transit. We have to get a green line plan up and running. We need to get busing efficient, effective, and workable for our citizens. I'd like to see the free fare zone expanded
20 seconds.
and a lot of other ideas like that. And I'd like to see a vibrant community that has arts, culture, community pools, recreation centers for kids growing up here. I want you to think about it. I have a great deal of experience. I can hit the ground rolling, pun intended, and I will work tirelessly to serve you. Always respond, always hustle. I will always be there.
Thanks, Ben. All right, well, thank you to all of you for sitting in this nice, cozy environment for to come and listen to the candidates tonight to help you see a little bit into the way that they think about things. You would have been able to see where there are consistencies and inconsistencies in the way that they talked about the issues as well as their approaches to the work. And, you know, I want to recognize that a question that I really wanted to ask that we didn't have time that came from the audience, but I want to offer it as something for the candidates to think about as a question that they're not going to answer tonight, but something I think is totally worth keeping top of mind as they go about this work, which is how do you work to understand someone's perspective who has absolutely nothing in common with you? And I think that really sort of elegantly captures a lot of what we talked about tonight and the tensions that exist in the job. So whoever wrote this question, thank you for this amazing question. We're going to use this question to end the night. And I thank you so much for your attention and your great, gracious behavior tonight. And a round of applause for all of you and for the community.